the apostles. Peter and John were going up to the temple area for the 3 o'clock hour of prayer. The man, crippled from birth, was carried and placed at the gate of the temple, called the Beautiful Gate, every day to beg alms from the people who entered the temple. When he saw Peter and John about to go into the temple, he asked for alms. But Peter looked intently at him, as did John, and said, "Look at us." He paid attention to them, expecting to receive something from them. Peter said, "I have neither silver nor gold, but what I do have I give you. In the name of Jesus Christ, the Nazarene, rise and walk." Then Peter took him by the right hand and raised him up. And immediately his feet and ankles grew strong. He leaped up, stood, and walked around, and went into the temple with them, walking and jumping and praising God. When all the people saw him walking and praising God, they recognized him as the one who used to sit begging at the beautiful gate of the temple. They were filled with amazement and astonishment at what had happened to him. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Our response: rejoice, O hearts that seek the Lord. Rejoice, O hearts that seek the Lord. Give thanks to the Lord, invoke his name. Make known among the nations his deeds. Sing to him, sing his praise, proclaim all his wondrous deeds. Rejoice, O hearts that seek the Lord. Glory in his holy name. Rejoice, O hearts that seek the Lord. Look to the Lord in his strength. Seek to serve him constantly. Rejoice, O hearts that seek the Lord. You descendants of Abraham, his servants, sons of Jacob, his chosen ones. He, the Lord, is our God. Throughout the earth, his judgments prevail. Rejoice, O hearts that seek the Lord. He remembers forever his covenant, which he made binding for 1,000 generations, which he entered into with Abraham and by his oath to Isaac. Rejoice, O hearts that seek the Lord. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us be glad and rejoice in it. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia.
The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord.
That very day, the first day of the week, 2 of Jesus' disciples were going to a village 7 miles from Jerusalem called Emmaus. And they were conversing about all the things that had occurred. And it happened that while they were conversing and debating, Jesus himself drew near and walked with them. But their eyes were prevented from recognizing him. He asked them, "What are you discussing as you walk along?" They stopped, looking downcast. One of them, named Cleopas, said to him in reply, "Are you the only visitor to Jerusalem who does not know of the things that have taken place there in these days?" And he replied to them, What sort of things? They said to him, the things that happened to Jesus the Nazarene, who was a prophet mighty in deed and word before God and all the people. How our chief priests and rulers both handed him over to a sentence of death and crucified him. But we were hoping that he would be the one to redeem Israel. Besides all this, it is now the third day since this took place. Some women from our group, however, have astounded us. They were at the tomb early in the morning and did not find his body. They came back and reported that they had indeed seen a vision of angels who announced that he was alive. Then some of those with us went to the tomb and found things just as the women had described, but him they did not see. And he said to them, "Oh, how foolish you are! How slow of heart to believe all that the prophets spoke! Was it not necessary that the Christ should suffer these things and enter into his glory?" Then, beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them what referred to him in all the scriptures. As they approached the village to which they were going, he gave the impression that he was going on farther, but they urged him, "Stay with us, for it is nearly evening and the day is almost over." So he went in to stay with them. And it happened that while he was with them at table, he took bread, said the blessing, broke it and gave it to them. With that their eyes were opened, and they recognized him. But he vanished from their sight. Then they said to each other, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he spoke to us on the way and opened the scriptures to us?" So they set out at once and returned to Jerusalem, where they found gathered together the 11 and those with them who were saying, "The Lord has truly been raised and has appeared to Simon." Then the two recounted what had taken place on the way and how he was made known to them in the breaking of the bread. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus.
We can imagine what confusion. And I say it well, these disciples of Jesus walking on the way, well, there was something different about him. He was a prophet. He was mighty in deed and word. He seemed to be maybe like John the Baptist, maybe even somebody more important. But then, like John, he was arrested and he was killed, and it didn't make a lot of sense. But then they went to the tomb and the body's gone. And now we're really confused, right? This is taking place that same Easter evening. And so they're walking away, not quite sure what to do. And then the Lord comes to start revealing to them the truth. He says, you never quite got it, did you? I have this great idea, okay, the prophet, the Messiah, he's going to be this great, maybe warrior king, the one to free Israel from the bondage of the slavery to other nations. It's been one after the next, after the next. Egypt to Assyria to Babylon to Persia to Greece to Rome, on and on and on. And maybe finally we'll be set free. And we'll have this great earthly wealth and great earthly reign, and everything will be right. In fact, it's something that we hear often enough, right? This idea that, love God, serve God, do your best to live a virtuous life, a generous life, and then you'll have no problems, right? Oh, I go to church every Sunday, I try to make it to Mass every day, I do all of these wonderful things. Now I should have no financial problems, no health problems, no relationship problems. You know, I'll wake up in the morning and my hair will be perfect. Everything's going to be nice. Who told you that? Where did this message come from? Because it doesn't come from the Gospels. It doesn't come from anywhere in Scripture. No, in fact, Jesus tells us so clearly, right? What does it mean to be his disciple? If you want to be my disciple, take up your cross every day and follow me. Well, the cross isn't really a nice thing. The cross is suffering. The cross is death. The cross is shameful. The cross hurts. And so Jesus starts revealing to them, look what has been spoken all along. All of these ways that we stumble and fall, all these ways that we struggle. Right? For the Easter Vigil, we heard that there, a figure with Abraham and Isaac pointing to the one to come, that sacrificial lamb whose head would be caught in the brambles and in the thorn bush. And then one after the next, it will be the servant who suffers for all of the others. It will be him whose face they're ashamed to look on, who they spit on, whose beard they pluck. They wag their tongues against him. Oh, wait, this is the story of the Messiah. And he's the one that we say we're going to follow. So we enter into Easter, which is a joyful season this year, no less than any other, because it's the season when we celebrate the reality that Christ is risen. Indeed, he is risen. And so we have great hope. Great hope for that world to come. Great hope that all is right. Not going to be, it is right. But we still have to get there following his steps. And his steps involve a certain amount of suffering. His steps involve difficult times. But it's not for nothing. Those difficult times are times of purification. They're times of strengthening and building up faith and trust and understanding. They're times to build up understanding, yes, of the great mysteries of God, but understanding with those around us too, right? Because what better time to grow in love and understanding and compassion and mercy than when we're constantly on top of each other and wish those doors could burst open and we could finally go our separate ways, at least for an afternoon. Isn't it the people we love the most who are getting most under our skin? Because they're always there right now. Oh, there comes that story again. When you're able to come back in the chapel, just ask Giovanni how often I repeat the same story in a day. Over and over again. Right? We've got Father Francisco, who we've entered the order the same day and have been rubbing shoulders all these years. And how many of my habits have never changed in over 21 years? You know, one thing after the next. So what do we do now as we walk on this road with the Lord? Maybe we think about some practical things too, right? What are we doing? Today, for lunch, you know, maybe we need to have lunch at separate times today. We'll have dinner together in the evening, but maybe a little separate lunch will kind of help to bring some peace. Am I finding my place and my time and my space during the day, my half hour, my hour, to go and do something on my own? Be a little bit more at peace. Getting outside when it's sunny, just to soak up a little bit of the sun, maybe to walk around the backyard or walk around the house or do something. You know, walking on that road with the Lord, even he, as he walked, went away a little. How often we hear that he's going up a mountain to be alone for a time. You know, he's out walking on the road and we need to get to the other side of the lake, away from everybody. And there in the front of the boat, he's in the back of the boat sleeping because I need a little space. The Lord gives us great models over and over again. Even after creation, right? We get the 6 days, the 7th comes, and okay, I'm going to take a rest. How do we follow those steps? We want to hear a message that's not true sometimes, that, oh, just follow God, you'll have no more problems. Well, it's half true. The day will come where there will be no more problems. But in this life, we still need some purification. We still need some strengthening. And so we walk with the Lord and welcome it as it comes. Because we know those are the little crosses that build the bridge. Those are the crosses that will lead us to glory.